So a few days ago, I learned something that absolutely just blew my mind. Like, I've spent my whole life overcomplicating every single thing I do. And honestly, it's because I take a lot of things extremely literal. Like, everything has to be literal. There's no room to really work with different things. And one of the things that I always kind of took in that literal sense was the phrase, do your best. And maybe that all kind of started at this job that I was at. Actually, probably before that, it was instilled upon me in childhood when my parents and grandparents and everybody else around me was always saying, you got to do your best work. But nobody ever really explained to me what do your best meant. So then I get this job when I'm in high school, and there's this picture of Winston Churchill in the very back of the kitchen. And, it was one of those crappy minimum wage jobs that we always kind of start off at when we're in high school. And it said something along the lines of, never rest until your good gets better and your better becomes best. Something like that. I mean, it's an actual quote. You can go find it online. But, and I guess I always kind of followed that throughout the years, just thinking to myself that, okay, I need to take what I'm good at and make that better until it's the best thing I can possibly do. So that's always the mindset that I've always had around everything. And I think it's one of the things that held me back on things like YouTube or applying for certain jobs or doing things that I was very much so capable of doing, but I held myself back from it because I didn't think that I was the best or that I was always doing the best. I always thought there was somebody else out there that was better. But a few days ago, I was scrolling through social media and somebody was talking about this book. It's like 4 Principles or something. But anyhow, one of those was talking about doing your best. And the way they described it resonated with me so well that it took this heavy burden off of me for one, but it also made me a little angry that I'd never heard it this way before. But it was talking about that you should always strive to do your best. I mean, there's no real question about that. Basically, you shouldn't always measure your levels of your ability to do things in the best of your capabilities the same across the board. So for example, let's say you have this terrible migraine headache and you show up to work, whatever type of job that is. Well, you're going to perform to the best of your capabilities given the fact that you have this terrible headache, or maybe you have some type of injury. You're not going to be able to achieve the best possible standards that you normally would when you're in the right mindset and you're fully physically capable. But you could still achieve the best you can given the circumstances that you're in. I never looked at it that way. Like if I showed up to work one day and I had kind of a bad day, I never gave myself credit for the fact that I got out of bed, I took myself to work, and I gave it everything that I possibly could, given my circumstances. Instead, I always compared that day, which wasn't my best day, so to speak, to other days when I performed a lot better. And, maybe you already know this, but maybe you don't. And if you don't know that already, then now you do. So it was just something that I felt like I really needed to share because I spend more time than not comparing my really good days, my best days, to other days where I don't perform so well. But if you really break it down, every day can be a best day, depending on how you're willing to judge that. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is, just don't be too hard on yourself when some days aren't as good as others. As long as you give it your all and try your best, given your circumstances, that's really all that matters. And I feel like a lot of these ideals and these philosophies really need to be explained to many of us. I mean, some people can pick up on this stuff like it's nothing, but I'm not the type of person that's like that. I need things to be really explained to me, sometimes even dumbed down, very simple. But I'm also a very visual person, so if somebody can show me a visual example of that, or explain it to me a way where I can visualize it in my mind, like this person did, where they were talking about, your best day, for example, if you have the flu, there's only certain things you're going to be able to do. Maybe your best achievements for that day is to get much needed rest, drink plenty of liquids, eat some chicken noodle soup, whatever it is to help make yourself better. A lot of the things that we learn throughout the years, like hustle culture and how you need a side gig and do all these different things, that we set ourselves up, or the majority of us set ourselves up for failure because we're trying to achieve all these great, wonderful things. And when we don't, we fail to see that we're trying our hardest, we're giving it our all, we're trying to do our best. But instead, all we're seeing are these failures because we're comparing these bad days to the good day. Anyhow, I just thought that was something that was really insightful that has definitely helped me a lot over the past few days. It was something that I definitely needed to hear. And there was something else that I heard as well that I'm going to save for the next video. But I'm going to leave you with a little bit of teaser on that. And it's kind of this idea that there's no such thing as an introvert. Pretty interesting. It definitely caught my attention. I didn't believe it, but we'll talk about that on the next one. But let me know in the comment section below if this is a brand new idea that you've never heard, you've never experienced. And if you're kind of like me and you have that struggle where you're constantly comparing your not so good days to your best days. What are you going to do about it? But I hope today's video sparked a little bit of joy. And as always, be sure to create something new today.